The buzz around Raiders camp is heating up, and one name that keeps making waves: Jack Bech. The rookie wide receiver, taken in the second round, is turning heads with his explosive play and sharp route running. Multiple Raiders insiders have praised his performance, and I even spoke to someone close to the organization who echoed the same thing. Jack Bech looks like the real deal. And it's not just about one player. Behind the scenes, new GM John Spytek is wasting no time shaping the roster his way, cutting veterans with years left on their contracts and signaling a fresh direction for the silver and black. Before we get into more updates, make sure to subscribe to the channel, drop a like, and hit that bell icon so you're always in the loop with the latest Raiders news. Now, let's break down what these moves really mean for the future of this team. Jack Bech is turning heads in Raiders camp, and fast. When Vegas traded back in the draft twice, some questioned the decision. Critics said Jack Bech was a third-round talent at best. But none of that matters now because what we're seeing on the field tells a very different story. Bech has been lighting up MINICAMP, with multiple reporters noting his performance. In particular, The Athletic highlighted his ability to consistently find space, haul in deep balls, and finish practice with a flurry of touchdown-level plays in full team drills. This isn't just hype. According to another report from Vincent Bonsignore, Bech looks even more physically imposing in person than his listed 6 feet 1 inch, 214 pounds frame. He's already drawing comparisons to Cooper Kupp, not because of raw speed, but because he's reliable, versatile, and sharp across the middle. The Raiders have moved him all over the formation during drills. Whether he's lining up inside or outside, he looks comfortable and dangerous. His leaping grabs and clean footwork have made him nearly impossible to ignore. And here's what makes him special. Bech can block. In a system where wide zone concepts rely heavily on receivers cutting off defenders, Bech's physicality gives the Raiders a major edge. He can take on safeties, crash down on linebackers, and still be a threat catching across the middle. Right now, slot receiver might be his most natural fit, but honestly, it doesn't matter. If you're one of the best 3 receivers on the roster, you play. And based on what insiders are seeing, Jack Bech is making a real case to be on that field from day one. Let's be real, it's just the beginning of camp. But when 3 separate sources are saying the same thing about Jack Bech, that's not noise. That's a signal. 2 respected writers published glowing observations. A third insider I spoke with echoed those comments. That kind of early buzz doesn't happen by accident. It's a sign that Bech is turning heads for all the right reasons. Think about it. Would you rather hear silence or hear that your rookie is already making waves? This is exactly the kind of early momentum you want from a second-round pick. But here's where things get interesting for Vegas. What happens when Jack Bech and Jakobi Meyers are on the field at the same time? That's a puzzle the coaching staff will need to solve, and soon. Here's a bold take. Jack Bech could be Meyers' long-term replacement. Meyers is a solid receiver, no doubt. But after signing a very team-friendly deal last time, he's likely going to command big money in his next contract, possibly in the $20 million range. For a team trying to build sustainably, that's a decision point. Bech, on the other hand, is a cost-controlled, high-upside player who can grow into a similar role. That's not to say Meyers is out the door, but the writing may already be on the wall. The real question is this: how do you get the most out of both right now? With Ashton Jeanty and Brock Bowers locked into heavy snap counts, there are only so many skill spots available. And when teams send blitzes, you need guys who can win one-on-one battles or haul in those contested jump balls. Bech is starting to look like he could be one of those guys. When defenses bring pressure, you need a hot read, someone reliable to your left or right. And you also need guys who can block, create separation, and handle physical matchups. That's what makes Jakobi Meyers valuable. He blocks well, knows the system, and finds soft spots in coverage. But here's the thing: Jack Bech might be his future replacement. This season, the big question is how the Raiders balance both. Can they get Bech involved without taking too many snaps away from Meyers? And who grabs that third wide receiver spot? Will it be Trey Tucker, who's flashed potential in bursts? Or Dante Thornton, a wild card with raw upside? Right now, the wide receiver battle is one of the most intriguing storylines heading into the season. But here's what's even more exciting. The entire offense looks completely transformed. Last year's unit was missing explosiveness. The O-line struggled in key moments. Quarterback play was inconsistent. Outside of Jacoby and Devontae, before he mentally checked out, there wasn't much. Even with a star rookie tight end like Brock Bowers, the offense simply lacked rhythm and playmaking. But this year, whole different vibe. Ashton Genty is a game changer. Every time he touches the ball, he's a threat to score. The Raiders haven't had this type of explosive back in decades, maybe not since Bo Jackson. And while that's a massive comparison, Genty has that rare stop-start burst and vision that puts defenders on skates. You just don't find players like that often. And remember, Brock Bowers is no longer a rookie. He's faster, sharper, and more confident. He's ready to take the leap, and the game will only slow down for him from here on out. Then there's Trey Tucker, possibly entering a breakout year. He's shown flashes in the past, and if he finally puts it all together, he could be a key weapon. Add in the potential of Dante Thornton, and suddenly the Raiders are deep, talented, and dangerous on offense. Bottom line, this isn't last year's Raiders. This offense is younger, faster, and far more explosive. And it might just be the start of something special. The Raiders made another move by bringing back a familiar face, former Pro Bowl linebacker Jaylon Smith. After a weekend tryout, Smith earned a spot back on the roster. He last played for the Raiders in 2023, although his time on the field was limited. Still, the team clearly saw something worth giving another shot. Early in his career, Smith looked like a future star. Coming out of Notre Dame, many believed he'd be one of the top linebackers in the league. And for a time, he was. But after a devastating knee injury, his performance never quite returned to that same elite level. Now he's back in silver and black. Interestingly, the Raiders invited Smith to their rookie minicamp, something you don't see often. While it's usually all about young prospects, the team mixed in some veterans this year. That gave coaches a chance to evaluate rookies and see if players like Smith still had something left in the tank. Apparently, he impressed, because now he's back on the roster. Of course, we've seen this story before. Last time Smith suited up for the Raiders, he looked slow and out of sync. Not the same linebacker who used to fly around the field in Dallas. But linebacker is one of those positions where things can change fast. It's a spot where success often depends on fit, scheme, and system, not just raw talent. Some systems turn average linebackers into stars. Others bury talented guys who can't adapt. And in the Raiders' current defensive scheme, built around a modified cover 3 look, there's still a path for Smith to carve out a role. It's all about whether he can read the run, drop into zone, and keep up with today's faster offenses. Time will tell if Jaylon Smith can make the most of this second chance, but if he does, it would be a huge bonus for a Raiders defense that's already getting deeper and faster. The Raiders made a few more moves as they continued reshaping the roster, waiving some players and releasing others. Let's start with the names that won't raise too many eyebrows. Dominic Boyd and Brandon Smith were waived. Both were at the bottom of the depth chart, more like practice squad guys. Their departures don't move the needle, but 3 other names stand out: Amari Burney, Matthew Butler, and Tyreek Milne-Mallister. These are the ones worth talking about. Starting with Amari Burney, a former 5th-round pick entering what would have been his 3rd year. Truth is, Burney never really flashed. No speed, no instincts, no real upside. Watching him play, you never got the feeling he could become a difference maker. For a linebacker, speed and quick reaction time are everything. Burney lacked both. So his release isn't a surprise. It's just another reminder of some of the questionable draft picks from the previous front office. Then there's Matthew Butler. This one stings a bit more. Coming out of Tennessee, Butler had promise. The Raiders drafted him after Neil Farrell and before Byron Young. Yet Butler lasted longer than both. He showed flashes, especially as a pass rusher. But in the NFL, flashes only take you so far. With 2 new defensive tackles added this year, there just wasn't room left for Butler. The team made a tough call, and it was time to move on. Tyreek Milne-Mallister is another interesting name. He actually played for the Raiders last season and looked solid in limited action early on. Then injuries hit. He never got the chance to fully prove himself. Still, there's talent there. Don't be surprised if another team gives him a shot. Lastly, wide receiver Christian Wilkerson was released. That one barely makes a ripple. He was never expected to make a real impact. In the end, these moves are all about building a faster, more physical, and more reliable roster. And sometimes that means letting go of potential that never quite turns into production. I truly believe Tyreek Milne-Malister had the potential to contribute, not as a Pro Bowler, but as a big play threat. He had around 30 touches last year, and nearly a third of those were explosive plays 20, 30, even 40 yards. That kind of burst is rare, so yeah, it hurts to see him go. But I also get it. He doesn't bring much more than what Trey Tucker or Dante Thornton might become. Sure, Malister may have made more plays, especially compared to Thornton, who's still a rookie. But when you're building a roster, it's about potential, not just past flashes. This is Tom Telesco and Antonio Pierce's team now. Not Dave Ziegler's, not Josh McDaniels, and with a new regime, priorities shift. Take Christian Wilkerson, a solid wide receiver 4 or 5. But the Raiders are clearly aiming higher. They're looking for upside. Like Eagles GM Howie Roseman once said on Draft Strategy, in rounds 4 through 7, they're not trying to draft safe average players. They're aiming for raw athletes with superstar upside, hoping one or two hit big, even if the rest don't. That mindset is what the Raiders appear to be embracing now. To do that, you need roster flexibility. And that means letting go of guys who might be just good enough. On the flip side, the Raiders signed a few players too. Jalen Smith, who we've already talked about. But another name to watch is Jonathan Sutherland, the former Penn State safety. He didn't get a lot of action in college, but he's already spent time in the NFL, including a stint with the Seahawks in 2023, so Pete Carroll saw something in him. The Raiders' safety room is still a work in progress. We've got Isaiah Polamau and Jeremy Chin, but neither is a true center field free safety. We're still missing that sideline-to-sideline playmaker. Maybe Sutherland gets a shot. A few other signings came through as well, but nothing major yet. Expect more movement over the next couple of days, more signings, more cuts. Oh, and Derek Carr officially retires from the NFL. That wraps it up for now. Raiders are making moves and the roster's taking shape. Let's see where it goes from here. Let's talk about Derek Carr officially retiring from the NFL. As a diehard Raider fan, I'll be honest, when Carr first joined the team, I wasn't convinced he was the guy. After his rookie year, I didn't fully see it. But then came 2015 and 2016, when Derek absolutely took off. That year, he was an MVP candidate and looked like the future of the franchise. And over the next several seasons, Carr gave Raider Nation everything he had. He wasn't perfect, but he delivered clutch moments, led game-winning drives, and gave us hope during some pretty dark stretches. Ultimately, the Raiders released him in 2022. He spent 2 years with the New Orleans Saints, battling through injuries. Now, with another surgery looming and limited options, Carr made the tough decision to retire after 11 seasons. It also helps the Saints recover some cap space, so it's a practical move for both sides. Still, it's wild to see the backlash online, people calling him trash, saying he wasn't good. Let's be real. You can debate his ranking, but there's no question. Derek Carr is one of the greatest quarterbacks in Raiders history. Whether your top 5 includes Ken Stabler, Jim Plunkett, or Rich Gannon, Carr is right there with them. You can't tell the modern history of the Raiders without Derek Carr. It's just unfortunate his prime, especially that 2016 season, never got a true playoff run. The organization never quite built the right team around him. They tried in 2016, again around 2020 to 2021, but it never fully clicked. The Saints clearly saw this coming, drafting a quarterback in the second round. But for Carr, this might be just the beginning of a new chapter, maybe in coaching, maybe media like his brother David. I'll also say this, Carr always handled things with class. When he left the Raiders, he didn't bash the team. No shots at Ziegler or McDaniels. No drama. He took the high road every time. So shout out to DC. 11 seasons, all heart, and one of the most respectful leaders the Raiders have ever had. I hope the Raiders bring him back for a one-day contract and let him retire as a Raider. Let me know what you guys think. How do you feel about Derek Carr's retirement? Should he be honored by the team? Drop your thoughts below, give this video a thumbs up, and I'll see you next time.